In golf, we celebrate the lowest scores, the longest drives, and the most major championships. But lurking in the shadows of those achievements are the records nobody wants, the infamous marks that keep players awake at night. Did you know a major champion once made a 23 on a single hole? Or that a PGA Tour pro missed 46 consecutive cuts? Chip Beck's 1997 to 1998 skid that lasted nearly 2 full seasons? In this video, I'll break down golf's most painful records, the scorecard disasters, tournament collapses, and career nightmares that define the dark side of the sport. These aren't just bad days on the course, they're the soul-crushing moments that can haunt a player forever. And the most terrifying part? Any of these records could be broken the next time you tee it up. Highest single-hole scores. The most infamous number in golf's record books belongs to Tommy Armour, who made an astonishing 23 on a par 5 at the 1927 Shawnee Open. What makes this particularly shocking is that Armour wasn't some weekend hacker. He was the Silver Scot, a 3-time major champion who simply couldn't stop hitting balls into the water on the 17th hole. Even more remarkably, Armour went on to win the US Open just 3 months later, proving that even the game's elite can suffer complete meltdowns. The modern era has produced its own scorecard nightmares. Kevin Na carved his name into this unfortunate history with a 16 on the par 4 ninth hole at the 2011 Valero Texas Open. Na's odyssey included an unplayable lie in the woods, a lost ball, and multiple failed attempts to escape the dense brush. The most excruciating aspect? Every agonizing shot was captured on live television, with commentators struggling to keep count as Na's score climbed into double digits. After finally holing out, Na actually laughed, the universal response when golf pushes you beyond the breaking point. John Daly, golf's beloved wild child, contributed his own entry with an 18 on the par 5 sixth hole at the 1998 Bay Hill Invitational. After depositing 6 consecutive balls into the water, Daly summed up his experience with characteristic candor. "It's a good thing I'm strong enough to keep hitting those balls because some people would have quit." Classic Daly, finding humor in complete disaster. Perhaps the most instructive catastrophe belongs to Ray Ainsley, who made a 19 on a single hole at the 1938 US Open. Ainsley's critical error? He repeatedly hit his ball as it moved with the current in a water hazard, not realizing he could take a drop with a penalty. His confusion turned what should have been a simple recovery into a score that has lived in infamy for over 80 years. Highest round scores. The highest single-round score generally cited on the PGA Tour is 123, Mike Reeser, 1974 Tallahassee Open, followed by 114 the next day. Both played essentially one-handed, with a 5-iron after a riding accident. Reeser injured his shoulder earlier in the week when he was thrown from a horse. Rather than withdraw and lose his tour eligibility, he played the final 2 rounds one-handed, swinging with just his right arm and using only a 5-iron. Given the circumstances, these rounds represent remarkable determination rather than poor play. In the 19th century US Opens, triple-digit rounds did occur. Early editions produced multiple scores over 100, as equipment and course setups were far different than today. As the game evolved, such astronomical scores became increasingly rare, with early majors sometimes producing triple-digit rounds before course setups and equipment standardized. In the PGA Tour record books, the Reeser 123, injury affected, is the notorious modern benchmark. In standard conditions, scores in the 90s and low hundreds are the outer edge you'll find in official rounds. Most consecutive missed cuts. The most infamous cut streak in golf history belongs to Chip Beck, who missed 46 consecutive cuts on the PGA Tour from 1997 to 1998. Beck wasn't a journeyman. He was a 4-time PGA Tour winner who had once shot 59 in competition. His sudden inability to make a cut remains one of golf's most perplexing career collapses. Brendan Pappas missed over 24 consecutive cuts in 2003 to 2004. This streak represents more than just bad golf. It's a testament to the psychological resilience required to face repeated failure and still return to the first tee. Even major champions aren't immune to prolonged slumps. Sandy Lyle, winner of the 1985 Open Championship and 1988 Masters, missed over 20 consecutive cuts in 2012. Though Lyle was 54 and playing mostly European Tour events, the mental toll of such a streak is almost unimaginable. Yet he kept teeing it up, demonstrating the stubborn optimism that defines both the greatest and most frustrated golfers. If you're finding these painful golf records fascinating, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. I'm constantly uncovering the strangest and most dramatic moments in golf history that you won't find anywhere else. Drop a comment below telling me about your own personal worst golf disaster, and I'll share some tips on how to recover mentally from a blow-up hole. Now let's continue with more record-breaking golf nightmares that will make your worst round seem like a walk in the park. Worst tournament collapses. The 1999 Open Championship at Carnoustie produced what many consider the most spectacular collapse in major championship history. Jean van de Velde arrived at the 18th tee needing only a double bogey 6 to become the first Frenchman to win the Claret Jug since 1907. What followed was pure golf tragedy. After a series of increasingly disastrous decisions, Van de Velde found himself standing in the Barryburn water hazard with his pants rolled up, contemplating hitting a submerged ball. He eventually made triple bogey, forcing a playoff that he would lose to Paul Lawrie, who had started the day 10 strokes behind. Greg Norman's 1996 Masters collapse might be the most painful to watch. Leading by 6 shots entering Sunday, Norman shot a final round 78 to lose by 5 to Nick Faldo. The image of Norman bent over in defeat on the 15th hole became an iconic symbol of golf's capacity for cruelty. Norman later said, "I made a lot of mistakes, but in the end, I'll live with it." It's not the end of the world. His words were gracious, but the haunted look in his eyes told a different story. More recently, the 2016 U.S. Open at Oakmont saw Shane Lowry squander a 4-shot lead with a final round 76. The Irishman would find redemption 3 years later by winning the Open Championship. But that Sunday at Oakmont remains a textbook example of how quickly a commanding lead can evaporate under major championship pressure. Most putts in a single round. Painful putting rounds do happen. Ernie Els' 6-putt from short range at the 2016 Masters is the unforgettable modern example. The 4-time major champion was so rattled that he shot 80, effectively ending his tournament before it had barely begun. The sequence was so uncomfortable that television broadcasts initially refused to show all 6 putts, cutting away after the 4th. The putting yips have claimed victims at all levels of the game. Even the great Sam Snead, winner of 7 major championships, developed such a severe case of the yips that he resorted to putting croquet style between his legs until the USGA banned the technique. These moments remind us that golf's mental challenges can be even more daunting than its physical demands. Most balls in the water. At TPC Sawgrass's Island Green 17th, Bob Tway famously made a 12 in the 2005 Players after hitting 4 straight shots into the water, one of the hole's ugliest numbers. During the Players, number 17 typically claims roughly 50 to 90 balls for the week, and can approach or even top 100 in especially windy years. Individual quads or others happen, but the hole's reputation as a tournament wrecker is well earned. The combination of a simple-looking shot, an island green, and the pressure of a prestigious tournament creates the perfect recipe for disaster. Longest drought between wins. Imagine going to work for 16 years without a promotion or raise. That's essentially what Robert Games experienced when he went 15 years, 6 months between PGA Tour victories, from 1990 to 2005. Games won his first tournament in dramatic fashion, holing out a 7-iron on the 72nd hole to defeat Greg Norman. Then, nothing for over 15 years, until he finally won again at the 2005 Valero Texas Open. Ed Fury went 14 years between victories, and Butch Baird went 15 years. But perhaps the most painful drought belongs to Doug Sanders, who finished second in 4 major championships without ever winning one, including the 1970 Open Championship, where he missed a 3-foot putt on the final hole that would have given him the title. Most runner-up finishes without a major win. Colin Montgomerie finished second in 5 major championships without ever winning one. The Scottish star, who dominated European golf in the 1990s, came agonizingly close multiple times, including a particularly painful loss at the 2006 U.S. Open, where he made double bogey on the final hole when par would have won. Phil Mickelson won his first major, 2004 Masters, in his 46th major start. During that stretch, Mickelson finished second in the U.S. Open 3 times, earning the unwanted label of best player never to win a major for years. Mickelson would eventually be surpassed by Sergio Garcia, who won his first major at the 2017 Masters in his 74th major championship start. Most consecutive holes without a birdie. The record for most consecutive holes without a birdie on the PGA Tour belongs to Brad Bryant, who went 105 holes without a birdie during the 1994 season. That's nearly 6 full rounds of golf without a single red number on the scorecard, a slump so severe it's hard to comprehend for a tour-level player. Bryant, nicknamed Dr. Dirt for his disheveled appearance, was no slouch. He won the 1995 Walt Disney World Oldsmobile Classic and later became a successful Champions Tour player. His birdie drought serves as a reminder that even skilled professionals can fall into slumps that would make average golfers abandon the game entirely. Worst playoff records. Craig Wood holds the PGA Tour mark for most playoff losses without a win, 0-7. Before finally breaking through with two majors in 1941, the Masters and US Open, he endured a string of heartbreakers, among them a 36-hole playoff loss at the 1933 Open Championship to Denny Shute and the 1935 Masters where Gene Sarazen's shot heard round the world forced a tie and Sarazen won the 36-hole playoff the next day. Wood also lost the 1939 US Open in a playoff to Byron Nelson. Nelson birdied the last 3 holes to win by 3. His ledger is a reminder of how razor-thin the margin can be between near legend and legend. These painful records remind us that golf is perhaps the most humbling sport ever invented. Even the greatest players in history have experienced moments of complete disaster. The next time you make a double bogey or 3-putt from 10 feet, remember that Tommy Armour made a 23 on a single hole and still won the US Open that year. What makes these records so compelling isn't just the astronomical numbers, it's the resilience shown by the players who endured them. Van de Velde never won a major, but he returned to Carnoustie years later and played the 18th hole for charity, in the same Barry Burn where his dreams had drowned. Greg Norman never won another major after his Masters collapse, but he built a business empire worth hundreds of millions. These players remind us that in golf, as in life, our worst moments don't have to define us. If you found these golf disasters fascinating, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm constantly uncovering the strangest and most dramatic moments in golf history that you won't find anywhere else. Drop a comment below telling me which of these records shocked you the most, and I'll see you on the course.